Hello everybody, I hope you're all doing well. So this is going to be a follow-up kind of discussion, teaching and reading regarding twin flame. So if you haven't seen the first part, I will link it in the description box, and I'll also place it in a card and also at the end. So welcome back if you're returning, and welcome if you're new here. This subject is going to be touchy, perhaps triggering. And for me, it has to be talked about. I'm going to do my best here. This may be a longer video. And I wanted to start off where we sort of ended in part one. So part one was just about twin flame, and I was talking about the matrix 4. So we're going to refer back to the matrix as well. Particularly the matrix 4, because there was such an emphasis on the twins, really, divine union. So just to say that it can be divine counterpart, divine union, it does not have to be twin flame. This is really about partners coming together. It doesn't matter what gender combination you are. It's about divine partners coming together, because this is a time where the energy of union between the two parts is so vital to the ascension of the planet, to the raising of the consciousness of the planet. So this isn't for everybody. This is a subject that is not in everyone's awareness, and it's not a part of everybody's journey. So for those of you that are joining and it's a part of your journey, I welcome you. I also want to say that that everything here is my belief. It's from my current state of awareness, and it is not without distortion. So meaning I have my own distortion. I've been sort of marinating on this for the last few days because I knew that I wanted to do this. So we ended the last reading with the card False Twin Flame. So that's where we're going to pick up. And it's from the Twin Flame Ascension Oracle. And this is the Take Me Home Oracle deck by Dr. Harmony and Dr. Tatiana Hassan. So art by Tatiana Hassan. So we ended with sort of the energy of the Phoenix, intense change, and the false twin. So that's the focus that we're going to talk about today, is false twin, catalyst twin. This really needs to be talked about inside of Twin Flame community. It probably is. It's just that I don't watch a whole lot of content around Twin Flame. I have just a couple of readers that I go to receive messages from, and as a kind of check-in. There's like one particular community that I really like. So, okay, so I'm going to start off with what the book says, but it's mostly going to be my information, my experience, and where I'm currently at along in this journey. So, this comes out under the suit that's olive, and these are courtships that will facilitate your soul's expansion. So we're not going to sit here and just like false twin, bad. It's not where we want to stay. There has to be an honesty and really looking in the mirror and asking ourselves some really hard questions here, but knowing that there's a freedom in understanding that this exists and that this is really a thing. And we're going to talk about the matrix too. So there's all kinds of things in this suit. There's karmic relationship, false twin flame. There's soulmates, twin flame facilitator, the masculine twin, the feminine twin, king, queen, high priest, high priestess, and twin flame. So again, courtships that will facilitate your soul's expansion. So that includes the karmic relationships, and it includes the false twin flame. And this number 2, it's a 2-2. And inside of this system here, the 2-2 is about merging with your soul. So that's part of the kind of functionality of the twos, is you, the human, the embodied soul, merging more fully with your own soul. So that's important to note. Okay, so let me just go to the page where it talks about false twin flame. I'll read you the brief description of what this author talks about, and then we'll get into the reading and the discussion. So the false twin flame, and I'll I'll hold this up here. We do see the eyes of what looks like a masculine here. So it's sort of talking more to the feminine perhaps. But again, this is not a gender specific reading at all. This isn't going to be about karmics and masculines and feminines. This is just for you, whoever you are that's watching this. So the lessons you learn from a false twin flame experience can closely mimic a karmic relationship. However, a false twin flame connection is much deeper and will generally come into your life quickly and blindside you like a freight train because the purpose is to create intense change in your life. The purpose of these relationships is to produce an accelerated awakening process, hence we see the phoenix rising. Most often, false twin flame appears after your true twin flame has come into your physical reality. I don't agree with that, but we'll get to that. Generally, this type of encounter occurs with the twin flame that is the so-called runner. These connections are very deep and involve an intense physical romantic connection, which is necessary to clear any remainder of ego related to chemical love patterns. This card implies that you have attracted someone into your life who represents the deepest, darkest sides of yourself that have not been willing to be acknowledged until now. They have shown up to help you release feelings of despair and not feeling good enough so you can take back your power and align with true love within. So most of this I do agree with. I think that it doesn't have to necessarily be a runner chaser type of dynamic, like maybe your false twin was really chasing you, and that's a high probability. And the roles seem to reverse, right? It's the switch up of energy. So I really believe that this is relevant to twin flame journey 100%. And I kind of want to talk about just quickly what we're going to do here today. So in the last reading where I was talking about a love like Neo and Trinity, the twin flame journey, sort of how that presents in this current energy and where we're at in 2022. Maybe you're going to watch this in 2023, and that's fine. So to talk about the twin flame journey, I went through all of the wands. Now here I have the swords. So I went through all of the wands from the ace to the 10 and sort of related it to twin flame journey. Today, we're going to be using the swords to talk about the false twin journey. For some of you, maybe it is a karmic. For some of you, maybe it's a catalyst twin. For some of you, it's some very specific relationship in your life that may not have even been romantic. So it's going to be different for all of you. Again, these are my beliefs and opinions and the information that I'm currently accessing. So I'm in no way an authority. Do not give up your power to me. Take what resonates, leave the rest, and feel free to share your journey as well. But this has been my journey and with twin flame. So having a false twin flame or karmic or whatever it is, you're going to have that awakening. You really are. It's going to put you on a path towards accelerated awakening. And also, like the author was talking about how, it really shows us sort of our deepest wounds, our deepest triggers. It allows us to really go deep. It has the opportunity to allow us to go really deep. And so the awakening, in a sense, it's very similar between twin flame, false twin flame relationships. They're almost identical. And the reason why I want to talk about this so much is because with the false twin flame, many people get stuck into thinking that it is their twin flame, period, point blank. There's no discussion. I know because I've been there. So everything that I'm feeding you today is the food that I feed myself, right? The stuff that I've eaten as well. So yeah, so that's sort of what I wanted to talk about. And I want to go through the swords and talk about the false twin flame journey and why it's so important to be open to acknowledging this, because there is such a attachment that can happen. This is my twin flame. It's my one and only twin flame. There can't be another, and no one else will compare. And this isn't for everybody. So this may not be your story. This may not be your story. You're going to have to decide. But if you were attracted to this title, then there may be something in this for you. So yes, the awakening process, you meet this person. I guess we'll just get into the swords, and then I'll just relate it back to parts inside of the matrix that I feel are very important to twin flame journey. Even if you're like starseed, light worker, empath, healer, and you're interested in twin flame and sort of what that means for the planet, what that means for the ascension process, there may be something in this for you as well. And this may be an area where you're hearing a lot of people talk about it. Again, maybe, you know, you're a part of the spiritual community. Maybe you want to understand this a little better. So it is my sincere hope and intention from my heart that I can provide some information that is relevant. And I'm learning as I'm teaching. So, you know, this is also for me as well. Okay, so let's start at the beginning, the Ace of Swords. So the Ace of Swords represents a truth, right? It's a truth. The sword is, for me, it's connected to obviously Archangel Michael, and a lot of the angels in general. A lot of the angels do carry swords. They're not all, you know, shrouded in golden light with flowers and scribes and all of that. A lot of them do have swords because they know the power of the sword. So this is the power of truth right here. And this is also, you know, we could link it back to Excalibur, the knights, all of that. So at the ace, at the point of the ace is where there is a ding, there is a light bulb. There's, with the crown, you know, it talks about the crown chakra. So there's sort of this opportunity for awakening. It's an opportunity for truth. It's a new journey. And everyone who sort of attends this journey signs up for it, because I believe this is something that we are sort of beholden to this journey. I do believe that we can rewrite our soul agreements. I do believe that, but I believe that many of us have signed up for this. It's something that's in our soul blueprint. So it's coded in there. And when the sword comes in is when you're activated. You're activated by something. There's a catalyzing event. And with regards to the false twin flame, this would be when the false twin comes in when you meet. So there is almost an instantaneous remembrance, awakening, some kind of feeling or knowing. I guess it would be more of a knowing with the sword that this is someone that you are connected to, that you're supposed to be with. It's something that you're supposed to explore. And in the beginning, the first 3 to 4 cards would be related to Gemini. So we're going to go through the whole suit of swords, which is Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, the air signs, and that would coincide with the lovers. So this is a very sort of, it feels maybe fated. For some of you, there is something very dissimilar about the two of you as well, whether it's an age gap, whether it is cultural, you're very different, but there's still a recognition. And it starts off perhaps very physical. There's a physical bond here because the lovers, people, you know, talk about the lovers like it's like this higher love, you know, all of that. But really, for me as a reader, the higher love is here because this is where the healing is and this is where the heart is. This is a more physical energy because it's sort of the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, and there's a distance between them. So there's some kind of, typically with the false twin flame, it can feel very kind of chaotic, like there is some kind of a separation. There's something that maybe even keeps the two of you apart, but you're feeling like it's, you're feeling the angel's presence there. And we see the snake in the garden, we see the fire burning behind the masculine. So it is very passion driven. And I feel that with many, there is a physical connection. I know it doesn't happen with all of you, but there would be that desire. It's very physical. And also, again, this is kind of that Gemini energy. So also with the twin, with the false twin, so you have this activation. You know, you're handed a sword. So it's showing that at some point you're going to have deeper truths because that sword will stay with you through the whole process of all of the swords. So you're always carrying the sword with you. It shows me that you'll always have the sword. And so that's something that I think that anyone who's questioning, was this a false twin flame, know that you've always had the truth and that it's there, and that you have the ability to conquer this, to overcome this. So we're going to start off like with that kind of positive affirmation there, because then we get into the 2 and the 3. And this is where there becomes some doubt. This is where you're seeing the conflict. You're seeing where there's reasons why this could absolutely not work out. This absolutely is not the right person for you. But on one hand, it is. There's this intense pull. It's a pull toward one another. And there's going to be so many challenges. Now, also keeping in mind that a lot of what I'm describing can be described to use twin flame. But I'm going to talk about why I feel that much of what is being taught around twin flame or experienced around twin flame isn't accurate. And so I'm asking everyone to keep an open mind here, because it goes back to the matrix and the program that's running and the false light and the false light equivalency. So we very quickly have this indication, for whatever reasons, that this may not be the person for us. It's very conflicting, and it's where you're doubting yourself. You're doubting maybe what you felt for this person, or you're doubting, you're doubting that you can be with this person, because very quickly it starts raining heartbreak. So inside of this is where, yes, there are things that are going to happen. You're blindsided. I think it was talking about that inside of this deck, that you're blindsided either by the connection, where you can't think clearly. You're in a fog. You're not seeing things clearly. That's why she's blindfolded. The moon is, very crescent-like, so there isn't a whole lot of illumination. There's a lot of perhaps secrets. This is before a lot becomes revealed. It's connected to the High Priestess. So lots of secrecy inside of these connections usually, and you will have some kind of a betrayal. You will be betrayed inside of this. You will experience a lot of pain and heartbreak. And it's where here inside of the 3 of Swords, I always thought this was such an interesting card, because there isn't any person connected with it. It's the swords that are piercing the heart. So it's the mind. And that's why I chose the swords to talk about the false twin flame, because this is where our heart knows. It really does know. It's the mind that tricks us. It's the mind that creates illusion, confusion, because it's connected to the lower consciousness. So especially as we're sort of down in the Gemini, it's, the first air sign. So it speaks to the lower mind, often trying to sort of gain knowledge and wisdom in order to, mature. So that would be the Page of Swords connected, into just the energy of air in general. It's connected into winter, actually, because oftentimes the pages are connected seasonally, not to a specific sign. So it's interesting with the 3 of Swords, because it's really where, it's the mind that is injuring the heart. Okay, so there's a betrayal here. And then when we move into the 4, we see where inside of twin flame is where the healing journey can begin. Inside of false twin flame is where, yes, just like twin flame, you will need some healing, but here it's really magnetized. Inside of the false twin flame, because it's connected into the false matrix, it's connected into the false timelines and the inorganic timelines. So that's where this is. The false twin is a product of the matrix. So again, we're going back to the Matrix movie, and this is where the false twin is connected into that. So this is where inside of that, you may become ill. I'm seeing this as almost like a love sickness, and it becomes a love sickness. And you see and hear this a lot inside of these twin flame connections, where there's a love sickness. There's a need to heal. There's this is where the twin, because I don't know that the false twin is doing this, turns towards spirituality. Because there's always a nod to the divine inside of the Four of Swords. So this is where we start to realize what's going on. And the other thing I want to say is, as we get from the Ace all the way into the 10, this isn't linear. This doesn't happen in a straight line. So I'm just going to go through them in a linear fashion, but it doesn't happen in a straight line because this is a quantum journey. And we are quantum beings, where our souls are quantum. So then we get into the 5s, where, this is where you will experience some dark shit. This is where I hear a lot of times inside a twin flame that the twin, the other seeks to destroy the other, or there's vengeance, there's nasty fights, arguments, there's perhaps slander, gossip, all of it. It's really winning at any cost. And it becomes where this person who you once felt this intense connection with, there was a truth, oh my God, we know each other so well. I've been waiting for this person my whole life, maybe. This is a soulmate. This is a divine counterpart. They quickly become your enemy, or you feel as if they're your enemy. So this is in the 5, and this is where it almost becomes so much because perhaps, you laid down your swords. You were learning, I don't want to fight. I want peace. I really want to heal the heart. I want to heal this connection. This is where you may be back and forth between, okay, this is someone that I definitely can't be with for all of the reasons, all of your own personal reasons, wavering back and forth between that but I feel like we could heal this. So you're taking breaks from one another. It's not stable. There's no continuity inside of the relationship. It's unstable. There always seems to be some kind of a distance, right? And so here is where it culminates. It reaches this point where there's no choice but for you to start digging deep and changing something. And so that's where we get into the 6, where now we're getting into the Libran energy, which is where we start understanding that this has created a big imbalance in our life, and we want to get equilibrium back. We want balance in our life. And in some cases, we're even seeking justice, because for some people, maybe this is someone that you were married to or had a long-term relationship with, and it was very, very rocky. So everybody's situation is so different. And this is where, for some people, it may even involve the law or the courts or things that are legal, contractual. It may involve jobs. And it requires that you have to change something. And this is where I feel that there's a sort of a higher understanding of the spiritual nature of your own life, because this is like a spirit guide that's taking this woman and child off to a place that is much more friendly and less aggressive and less hurtful. So it's where we start to journey to somewhere else. So, we're like halfway through. We're more than halfway through here. So we're at this point, there's really a nod to seeking balance, justice. And this is where we start perhaps disconnecting from the heart a bit, because we've already sort of done some healing. And this is like the straw that breaks the camel's back, where how do you go back to that? It's so gnarly. And it's also inside of the 5s where you realize, how some of this is bringing up your own wounding, your own patterns, your own shadow, right? So we're starting to face our own shadow, and we're realizing that perhaps we need to look at the facts and explore the evidence, right? So at this point, we may even be receiving truths, especially as we get into the 7, where there are things that are revealed, and these things really are helping you to start to move on, to go towards something else, where you're really seeing the masks come off inside of this relationship, where it wasn't what you thought it was. There was so many more layers to it, And this is where, you know, inside of the Six of Wands, there is a nod to a spirit guide. So it's where and the sixes go back to the energy of that Lovers, where we're actually looking at what's healthy choices. And that, you know, it's important with the Justice to look at the evidence, to really look at the evidence. Libran energy, you know, so it's like removing some of the emotions around it and looking at the facts and looking at the evidence and seeing where the scales of balance are in regards to this connection. Again, at this point, you may very well still be thinking, this is my twin flame and I want off this journey because this is a load of crap and it's not good for me and all of that. Now, with the Six of Swords, you know, this can be an energy where you turn the boat around and you wind up going back. You know, so again, this is not happening in a linear fashion. These are things that, you know, you jump around from energy to energy, often many times. So my aim is just to show it, you know, one step at a time, and then we can kind of circle back and talk about it. So inside of the Eight of Swords and the Nine of Swords, this is where a lot of the twins get stuck inside of this false twin flame program, because I believe that this is part of the Matrix program. Because for every divine thing, for everything on the face of this realm, this earthly realm, that is of the light, that is organic, that is true, that is beautiful, that is holy, and that is sacred, for every single thing that is true for, there's also an energy that has been mimicked, hijacked, and copied into the false programming. So that means that for every twin flame connection, there will be a false twin flame connection. And whether or not you align with that is a question that only you can answer. And there's no judgment or shame. I definitely aligned with a false twin flame, 100%. And I have had this intense change and awakening around it recently. And you could ask people who know me, because I talk about my journey with my closest friends, and they've sort of been on it with me, and they know like where I'm at with this, and I've had this huge awakening to it, and it has been so liberating, and that's really why I want to share this with all of you, because I feel like I have had a rebirth. So many of the twins can get stuck inside of this. You're trapped inside of your twin flame journey. You know that this person is all of the things that they may be. I think for a lot of the twins who are in separation and have been and still consider that person their twin, there's an energy of narcissism associated with it, because narcissism is so rampant in this society. Now, whether it's narcissistic personality disorder from like the DSM-5, or whether it's narcissistic personality style, or serious narcissistic tendencies, or pure psychopathy, or, you know, going back to the Matrix, it would really be where they themselves are a program. And you are aligned to that so that you awaken, right? Because you do have this awakening, but you only awaken to a certain point unless you break out of it. And that's the sleeping phoenix that then rises and breaks through the glass ceiling. So in the 8 and the 9 is where I see many twins getting stuck. The 8s are about, you know, being trapped inside of the mind in the prison of your own making. And the 9 is where you can see she's alone. So how many twin flames do you know that are still waiting for the twin to perhaps change or grow, or have some type of a miracle, which I do believe in. So, but let me just stay with this. So how many twins do you know that are unable to have relationships? No one else compares to their twin. They want to move on. They even perhaps want to move on, like, I don't know, just with specific things in their life. But it's where this falsity has such an imprint on the mind, specifically on the mind we're talking about. That's why I chose the swords for this, that this person, this energy becomes trapped. It doesn't mean every moment of every day is like this. Many twin flames in separation who are connected to a false twin flame are living rather productive lives. They're on a spiritual path. They're teachers, they're healers, they're my family, they're beautiful people. So there's no judgment here in any way, shape, or form. But this is like, it's just around and around and around. And it's like at the 9, it's complete. So it is complete. Let it complete. Free yourself from this darkness, because it is an abyss. It truly is an abyss. And by the time we reach the 10, I feel that this is where some twin flames have been on the journey for 20 plus years. And I mean, what is it going to take? You know, at this point, the swords are there because you've allowed them to be there. Again, don't shoot the messenger. You know, I know that much of this is a hard pill to swallow, but I really feel like it has to be said. And but here is where we really can get back up. We can get up, take the swords out of our back, and grab the original sword that we were given, claim it, and understand that this specific person is not your true twin flame. Okay, so if you're dealing with someone who for years or months or whatever has disrespected you, has not loved you properly, has done many wrong things to you, has hurt you, has lied to you, cheated, deceived, stolen, whatever it is, taken advantage of you in so many ways, humiliated you, whatever that is. But the synchronicities were all there. All of the, you know, there was so much passion, or there was this understanding. You have all these strange similarities. You know, you have the same maybe core wounding, just presented in a slightly different way inside of your lives. You do get along great. So this is where all of the confusion is. There were so many things that were so on point. There were signs, there were synchronicities, there were all of those things. You know, so, but you're at a point where you're like really questioning this. And that's, I guess, who I'm talking to, or hopefully who I'm talking to, because you are really over it. And you want to get back up again, and you want to reclaim your power, and you want to cut the cords to this. So that's who I'm hoping to speak to today. And if you've been there, done that, and you've reached this part, when we get into the Aquarian energy, where you've reached the healing, where, you know, you've realized that you're being guided by something that's higher, and that this is not it, then this reading is for you. So, Okay, so with the matrix, let's just talk about the matrix again. So I was talking about how inside of this inversion that we are in, and why twin flame is so important, why it's so near and dear to my journey, to my heart, and why I believe that they talk about it from 144,000 is this. I actually believe there are many more twin flames than the 144. But what I believe is that because all of this is quantum, it was sort of pre-written. There's, even though we don't know the outcome, it's sort of where all the timelines wind up converging into one, and that's where all paths lead home, take me home. However, I do believe that there are more than 144,000, but I believe that many will absolutely stay trapped in this, stay trapped inside of the false twin flame construct, and will not align with the true twin flame. The other message is that in regards to a lot of the twin flame teachings, there is a lot of false programming inside of that. Well, it's a spiritual connection and you're married in the spiritual realms. And again, these are things that I was telling myself too. And while all of that is true, this is the time, this is the lifetime, this is the timeline where we are supposed to come together with the twin flame. we are supposed to be in physical union. Okay, we're going to do another reading and we're going to go to the cups next. We are supposed to be in physical union. This is the time. And inside of this program, this false program, they will do anything to keep the twins apart. And we touched on that in the first part that I did, that I'll link, because when the twins come together, or when any human being merges with their soul, with their opposite, the merging of the opposites, the healing of the opposites, it creates an energy, a ripple effect out to the rest of the world that smashes through the glass ceiling and that has the ability to delete this program once and for all so that all beings may be free. So that's why they want to keep twins apart, and that's why inside of this they have created the false twin for you. And so I'm really curious to know how you all feel about this. I don't know, I feel like that's kind of it. This went rather quickly, so I'm actually surprised. So let's get a message for the twins regarding this. I also want to talk about, some of the other teachings are that you're, like, on a soul level, your twin flame is obviously your twin flame, right? But that a karmic partner or a false twin is sort of, you're all part of the same oversoul. Like, you've had past lives with your false twin, as well as maybe karmic partners. And that's why there's a remembrance and a recognition of one another. And so on a soul level, like, you're actually all friends and everybody's just decided to play these roles. And I do believe that that can be true. However, I also believe there's two other things. So one of them, going back to the Matrix, I do believe that some of these false twins are themselves programs. They're programs, and they were programmed to be here to interfere with twin flame union in the physical, to real twin flame union in the physical, that these programs were sent to interfere. Now you have to have a certain vulnerability to have that interference come in. And that's where our core wounding comes in, right? So many of us, we get on a spiritual path because we ourselves have had, difficulties in life. We've really been through it. And we get on this healing journey, first and foremost, to heal ourselves. We spiritually awaken because we ourselves have had, maybe a hard knock life, whatever that is. You've had varying traumas in your life. So in some regard, we have to have a sort of vulnerability to this. So that's where this is all about personal responsibility and taking our power back, because this is the higher mind. And this is connected to Aquarius, which is the highest self, our truest essence, where, where we're healed, where we're fully healed and aligned here. The other aspect of the false twin flame is this just narcissist, empath, the narcissist and the empath, right? So how much of this is actually trauma bonding? And there is so much to be said about that. And again, I watch some channels, and every once in a while they'll mention, my twin's narcissistic habits and all of that. And this is where we really have to get real about this, because I will tell you that my false twin flame was a narcissist, or is a narcissist, and is a very disturbed individual who truly, it's a false sense of self. And what happens is, with a narcissist, or with someone with very strong narcissistic tendencies, you're not even falling in love with them. You're falling in love with yourself, because they are mirroring to you all of the wonderful things about you. And then you're falling in love with yourself. And the fact is that that person, whether it's a narcissist or really just an AI program that's running through the Matrix, that person does not have an actualized sense of self, right? They don't have an actualized sense of self. Their whole identity is a false self. It's a lie. So that's another part of it. And I feel like I would be doing everybody a disservice if I wasn't sharing this with you, because I truly believe in the twin flame journey, and I truly believe that there are those of us who are here for this mission, we signed up for it and we're here to complete it. And this is where it is time to break free from this part of it, to call in that divine love, to align with it. But it has to be in letting go of, in releasing this idea that this one person who is not your twin is your twin somehow, because there's a lot of, misinformation out there around all of this. And it's just my aim to really help with that. So I hope it helps. All right. So let's get a message for all of you regarding this message. So, okay. Yes. So here's the number 1 coming in, and it says, take responsibility. And it says, acknowledge. So that's huge. And this is what I'm trying to do here, is to acknowledge this, to take responsibility. There's a bunch of kind of keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 keys. So that goes back to the Lovers with the number 6 about balance, harmony. Restoring harmony is first to acknowledge where maybe we've been wrong, where, where we saw it incorrectly. And that's okay. There is no judgment. This is all part of it. For those of you who are still here and still resonating. Number 2, another number 1. And this is surrender, dark night of the soul. Because this can be a dark place to be, is acknowledging however many years or months or however many tears you cried. Maybe you lost things around this. Because this is a very damaging relationship, this false twin flame. It can be very damaging. Even if you're just saying it's my ex-narc, the narcissist, right? Whatever it is, it can be very damaging. And there's a dove here. And it's funny, whenever I look at this card, I see inside of like a spaceship, a starship, almost like if you were in Star Trek or something like that. I see it as that. It's very, very cosmic. So it's surrendering to the divine. And no matter what happens, it's about facing this, because this already is a dark night, as far as I'm concerned. And being inside of that limiting, it's such a limiting place. Even if you're growing so much spiritually, even if through this false twin flame connection, you really were the phoenix, it catalyzed so much change in your life. It changed your life. It changed you. So surrender into this. And then we get the spiritual awakening, shift or be shifted. And then we also get, this is amazing. So spiritual awakening, shift or be shifted. So, that's pretty self-explanatory. And the last card is the 5. So this goes back to this 5 of Swords here. And it says, reprogram your soul, release, raise, and reclaim. And I feel that this is where, because there's sort of a nod to 2 hearts here, this is where you are releasing the false twin. You are reclaiming your power. You have cut the cords at this point. And you're raising your life. You're elevating yourself. You're getting on a higher twin flame timeline, if you will. So you guys, those were the messages. We went 43 minutes and 22 seconds. I hope that this resonated. I really, truly hope that this was helpful. For those of you that are interested in looking at your connection or a reading, any kind of a reading, just let me know. My email will be down below. I'm wishing you lots of love, lots of life, lots of life and light. For those of you in the United States, happy Labor Day weekend. God bless America. And I will see you all soon. Take care. Namaste.